all of our global audiences. My name is Nidhi Shandilya. I'm part of Teams Platform Engineering. And I want to talk to you today about one effort and incubation we have, and that helps building more immersive applications on Teams and extend its usability even more. It's called Teams App Templates. I would love to share with you what we have today and get your feedback on how we can make it even more useful, more impactful for your line of business needs. All right, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. So just Avdesh or others, just give me a yay or a nay when you see my screen.
Sure. Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna do a full screen. All right, a little bit of a background on what are Teams app templates, why did we decide to build these things out, who are these for, how to get started, those sort of things. We've been working with our customers and partners for almost a couple of years now, trying to understand what kind of scenarios and what kind of applications kind of make even kind of extend the use of Teams as a product into various custom workflows and line of business tasks. Simultaneously, the other thing that was happening over the course of past 2 years was Teams as a organization within Microsoft has grown a lot. We've had engineers, PMs, CPMs, sales professionals, everybody joining in. So we had our own problems to solve within the team. So we created these solutions just to kind of scratch our own itch, so to speak. And we figured the ones that work so well, they're more likely to work with our customers and other organizations as well. So literally our motivation was twofold. First was, hey, let us share how we kind of make productivity kind of like our core principle, collaboration. And number two was what we were observing in working with a wide variety of customers is what are those common workflows and scenarios where having an application on Teams kind of really helps bring the entire team together and get more stuff done. So that's kind of like why we invested in this effort. The second thing was line of business apps or custom applications inside of organizations. They're all driven off of core business logic, which varies slightly from organization to organization. So we wanted to have a model that the core workflow or the core business logic is there, but since we would open source these applications so that any customization, any tweaks that you have to make, you're not starting from scratch. You have a starting point. So very quickly, app templates are these custom applications that we've built and we feel would solve common line of business scenarios. The key principles here are that these are open sourced applications and they come with a complete deployment guide. It does not require a developer to go and derive instant value from. These are plug and play, production ready apps, fully baked in with all the security and privacy best practices. What we've also done is we've detailed out everything in these apps, all the way from, okay, what's the solution architecture to where's the data stored, how is it moving. To give you a very quick example of what it looks like in real life. So this is like the landing page of app templates, very easy to understand, aka.ms. Teams app templates. So it'll get you to this page. Let me take a quick example here. Let's say the first one, list search. And there's a link to GitHub. So that landing page gives you a full catalog of what all app templates are available today. And then the link there would be get it on GitHub is where the complete deployment guide, best practices, and steps are documented. So if I take just one, we give you a quick overview of what this app is, how does this work, along with architecture. So any new thing that you'd want to introduce in your organization, there are a lot of info security reviews, privacy, and those sort of things. So we've outlined in detail what composes this application and how does this work with extensive details. The other thing that we've also done is data storage. GDPR, privacy, and all those things are super important. We've been hearing that from customers as well. So all app templates contain information on where is data stored, where is it moving to, how is it stored, those sort of things. And we also give basic telemetry for these. So for example, being able to know how many people are using in your organization are using these applications, and some of the key workflows, like if it's the list search, how many search queries are performed in a month, so to speak. And then finally, the deployment guide. It looks like a long list, but it's a long list because we've taken the pains to document each and every step. You would notice that these are fully built applications that you would deploy in your version of Azure, in your instance of Azure. Deploying an application to Azure often is a pretty technically involved task, but we've leveraged ARM templates so that literally you're following these steps, and then halfway through there's a button, deploy to Azure, and literally that's how it happens. If someone were to ask me to deploy an application to cloud, I wouldn't be able to do that. But with this guide, it is so easily mapped out that I personally deploy these things. It takes me 15 to 20 minutes to do that, and I have a fully deployed application, and then I bring it onto Teams, and I can easily publish it to my app catalog.
So Nidhi, there is a question in the chat from Ryan that are these available for the GCC environment as well? These app templates?
That is a very good question. I think, yes, so Ricardo kind of captures it as well. These are open source, anybody can leverage it, but I am not 100% sure what are the limitations in our GCC environment. If third-party apps or line of business apps are allowed to be brought in, then yes. And I can take that question back to have an exact answer. I need to know in our GCC, for our GCC customers, what are the limitations by way of app catalog. All right. Bill's just joined us. Okay. Shall we get started? Shall we? Okay, we'll continue to make progress here. So I covered an overview of what app templates are, why are we building these. I'll dive right into examples. There's nothing more useful than taking an actual example. The first one that we published here, it's called Icebreaker. So the idea came from so Teams as a product was growing so much, and then we'd see new faces in our organization every day, every week, and we wouldn't know who are these people, what are they doing. So one of our engineers actually built this application for internal use, but it just went viral, and now it has a very strong, loyal fan base within Microsoft. That's the reason we decided to open source the application and make it available to all of our customers. And it's been out for about, I think, 2 months now. And again, we're seeing similar viral adoption, like one person introduces it in a team, and then it just takes off. The core idea of this application is it's a bot. You install it in a team, and then every Monday morning, it will randomly pair two people up. And then let me actually give you a quick demo of it.
Yeah, it makes the connection so that people can then choose to get together for coffee and just exchange basic information so that the team has greater cohesion. In fact, some customers are using it where there's organizations that have gotten feedback that there's not a lot of collaboration or cohesion within the organization, and they're finding it a useful way to introduce employees to each other in a sort of neutral, collaborative way. Employees opt in, exactly, and then they can choose to meet others if they want.
Absolutely. Like I met so many people via this app that I wouldn't have met, during work hours, or just like we would not be in the same projects, but I would find common threads that would work for everybody. And then, I actually started a couple of work projects because of people I met from this app. So this is what happens. You install this app, the bot sends a welcome message to the team telling everybody, hey, this person installed me. This is how I work. They can take a quick tour to see how it works. Just very quick 2-slide overview. And then nothing more to do. Every Monday morning, all team members in the team will get a message from the bot.
Hey, Nidhi, are you sharing something? Because I can only see the your Teams window.
Sorry, I tend to do that often. I need to join the meeting again and share my screen. Thanks for calling that out, Avdesh.
No worries.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can see that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Probably you may want to repeat again a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So this is what I was speaking to, that you install the bot in your team, and it sends a welcome message telling you who installed the bot and what's the purpose. People can take a quick tour just to inspire confidence, and then nothing more to do. No signing up or no kind of logging in and those kind of encumbrances. And then Monday morning, the bot would send a welcome pair-up message to everybody in the team. For example, you've been matched with this person, again, introducing in which team and those sort of things. And then here's the cool part. It removes the friction it requires to meet with people. There's boilerplate information already filled in, title, Office 365 AI chops. It also recommends times that are available for both parties to meet. So literally, it takes seconds to kind of just meet more people outside of your sphere of influence. We also give the ability to pause matches. Not everybody is on board, so it kind of gives people a way to opt out if they're not interested. Or like if you're on vacation, you can pause matches and come back and join in again. I want to share with you a few other use cases or how you could use it as Microsoft has an annual employee conference. Thousands of employees come in for that. It's called MS Ready. And the organizers reached out and they're like, hey, we want to, people come from all over the world for this conference, and we want them to be able to, meet more people outside of their sphere of influence. It's really hard to, between sessions and talks, hard to really meet people. So what we did was we deployed a custom version of this app template, and that's the beauty of this open sourced app is we deployed a custom version where we changed the pair up logic to trigger every morning at 8 a.m. for the duration of that week. And then literally like comparing the engagement that conference drove versus previous years, the entire engagement was off the charts. We heard so much positive feedback. And then that's how those employees are now sharing it with kind of their internal and external network. Another customer, I don't have the story is going to come out soon, but it was like in frontline scenario where you have lots and lots of stores with people joining in, often not have a very formal onboarding process. It's a very lightweight way of having them meet just without pressure every week, a person from within their larger organization. And then the way, and I'll use the quote that they use was, it's really simple. There's nothing extra to do. It kind of just fits right within your daily life. And then they're really happy with the way it's growing in the organization. So that is one detailed example. The other app template that we have out is called List Search. And the reason we built this one out was SharePoint List was coming up as a really pervasive an omnipresent kind of tool in organizations. They're very versatile, but people who are often mobile and traveling, it's really hard to bring up a SharePoint list and look for data and share with others. It kind of hampers productivity and collaboration. So the idea came that, hey, while you're chatting with someone, if you need to refer to items within a SharePoint list, wouldn't it be awesome just if it were to be as simple as sharing, sending someone an emoji within the context of a chat itself? So I'll give you a quick example of what that looks like.
And this works great on a mobile device as well.
Yeah. So let's say, each organization has its fair share of acronyms. We at Microsoft are notorious. We have thousands and thousands of long acronyms that often people don't know what those are. And those acronyms are like, what if those acronyms were stored in a SharePoint list? And then you could just whip it up exactly when you need it. Let's say two people were having a conversation about, hey, who's the CSA for this particular account? A new person often just is tumbled, like, what is a CSA? What role is that? Or is it even a role? What does that mean? So imagine if two people were talking, one could just simply whip up the application List Search, select the list, let's say glossary, search for an item. In this case, I want to know, what does this acronym stand for? I come up with a result, and I can easily share it within the context of a chat experience itself. I send it forth. It gives me instant knowledge about what that particular line item in a SharePoint list is. I can click a button easily and go out to that SharePoint list. So glossary is one example. The other example, like that we at Microsoft use, is we have a SharePoint list to track all queries and feedback items, and then action items associated with those, and who's working on those items. And that's how actually this app was born. Was we wanted to make that much more accessible to everybody. So I clicked on this list, and it came upon the exact list that's in the background. And I can have more columns and metadata associated with it. This particular item has just the text and then description. You could have 4 or 5 other fields related to it as well.
One of the applications for this is like HR and legal, where they are trying to share information, specifically, for example, the family leave policy, or what does client attorney privilege mean, or policies around that. So this could be used for sharing any kind of information, but broadly within many organizations, they're using it for HR and legal.
Yeah, correct. One interesting use case that I heard recently was in healthcare. A few customers have like extensive directories, and when they're trying to recommend to patients, like here you need a physiotherapist to go look at XYZ things. Here are a few recommendations for you. They still use the old processes of like whipping out actual physical directories, sifting through pages, and then sharing results. With this, you can easily bring it up within the context of a chat experience and then share it directly or send it as an email or a text.
Yeah, so you can imagine even for sort of definitions of drugs or definitions of conditions, any sort of technical or arcane knowledge can be shared broadly within an organization using this mechanism, and it's all sort of the approved definition as opposed to, what could be out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Street
absolutely.
knowledge. Yeah.
So those are the two ones that are published. We will have two new coming in soon. I want to give you a very quick overview.
And importantly, both of those were developed internally for Microsoft's own needs.
Correct.
And now we're making them available to our customers using an open source basis so they can be customized however the customer needs.
Absolutely. So the next one I wanted to show you and talk to you about is Company Communicator. Teams is really good for today, good for micro communities and then quick collaboration within small group of users. What we've also heard is the ability to reach broader audiences and be able to reach across teams individually to users in one-on-one. And especially for workforce that is mobile, how can we simulate the experience of a chat? Something that is as easy as sending someone a text message. Those are some of the feedback items we've heard, and that's the reason we're coming out with this app template. This is called Company Communicator. This is still in the oven, getting baked, but I'm going to give you a very quick overview of how it works. So let's say you have a team of content creators. Let's say it's corporate communications, or let's say it's a corporate headquarters that sends communication to individual stores. They have a team set forward for it. There's a tab in the team, which is the app itself, where people come in and create messages. It's role-based, so only who are privileged, only those who are configured to get access to this app will be able to access this tab. You click on a new post, and it gives you a place to put something out. So let's say in my organization, I want to tell everybody about app templates, that, hey, this new cool initiative is launched. I want all of you to check it out. I can easily create my message and preview it here. Templates are available. If there's an image link, I can include a link as well. I'm just making things up, but any good image that's available publicly should suffice. Okay, this hopefully should work. All right, And it's as easy as copy pasting text from any content source. And you can set authors too. So for example, if this is coming from corporate headquarters, you could just say Office of the CEO or put in on behalf of, so to speak. And we give the option of having a button and a redirect URL. So let's say my button says learn more, and the URL is the URL of the templates landing page. So it gives me a preview of how it will look like. I catch a typo here, and I can easily rectify it. All looks good. So here's the kicker here. I have the option of sending it to individual teams. Let's say my organization is laid out by different teams. I can select the teams, and this will send a message to the general channel of these teams. I can also send it one-on-one to members of a team. Let's say, these are all people who are mobile and, out there in the field. I want to reach them via a chat message. They probably don't have enough time to go read the entire channel conversation. So I can just say, send to the team members of this team. This would post as a one-on-one message. Or I can just say, hey, I want all of my Teams users to know this. A new app template is available. I want everybody to have access to it.
And in that case, it would also show up as a one-to-one chat message.
Correct.
Yeah. So these last two are great for the first line worker communications. We've heard about many organizations that are looking for a way to basically get the attention of a broad set of employees. Often it's CEO or other senior executive or HR, potentially legal notification. And this is a great way to take advantage of the fact that people pay more attention to things that come in Teams than yet another email message.
Correct. And that it would show up as a regular notification straight up on the mobile, don't have to navigate anywhere else. So I go ahead and click save. Go to my message. Once I'm ready to publish it, I can hit send. Gives me a quick message. Are you sure you really want to send it to all users? And then to verify that it actually come forth, here is my message as a channel notification. I click on it, and it would take me to exactly as the page mentioned here. You could also think of, any new, even you pick any template from this available catalog. You can publish it to your organizational line of business apps that are only available to your employees. So let's say you published
your tenant specific store.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you published Icebreaker or List Search just for your employees. People often don't go to the store to see, okay, what's new is available. You can use Company Communicator to draw attention to all the new stuff that's happening. So you could include a link to this application, create a communication, and send a blast out by saying, hey, this new app is available, or we're moving to this new process for doing things. Here's how it would operate. It's a very quick and nifty way to reach broad audiences very quickly.
Yeah, so Company Communicator is a great way for, say, the head of HR to tell everyone about Icebreaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The other template that's in the works, so this is coming next fairly soon. The other one that I want to talk to you about is FAQ Pro or FAQ Plus. The reason we built this was it has become over the years really easy or easier to build quick question and answer bots, but often these bots aren't very helpful. And one of the key reasons is that there's no human in the loop, like especially where people are stranded, like the bot isn't helpful, there's no answers. people are just frustrated and then they just abandon the application. But at the same time, there still is a need for these commonly asked questions everybody has. And then people who are supporting these questions often have to repeat themselves over and over again. So what this Fact Pro or Fact Plus, we still haven't figured out the exact name. What this bot does is it's a simple question and answer bot. You ask a question, get a response back. If the answer isn't satisfactory or you need more help, you can quickly just click a button and say ask an expert, and then gather some details. What was your question? Where exactly you need help? It then posts to a pre-configured team of SMEs or experts. And then the bot notification in the expert team contains a button where you can click chat with the person. So
Right.
It closes the feedback loop almost instantaneously. No one has to go into telemetry to figure out where the bot failed. There's like an instant feedback loop available. And then what it also helps is give instant signal to the content creators or the support professionals that, okay, this is a query that comes up so often. We should probably put it in our knowledge base so people can then just easily self-serve.
Yeah, and just to expand the acronyms, FACT, frequently asked questions, because we do have a worldwide audience, SME, subject matter experts.
Thank you.
So this could be used by help desk. This could be used by, we've given HR and legal examples. A great way of telling people about, policies, answering questions they might have, and then responding. This is also potentially something that could be helpful for new employees. So a big usage of Teams is, helping new employees get organized and oriented towards their organization. This is a great example of how they could be, asking all their questions in advance. And then if there's something that they don't perhaps phrase exactly right, because there's limits to how search works, or they go beyond what is in the frequently asked questions, then they can go to, someone who can answer their question.
Absolutely. The other cool thing about this is that for the support team or the common experts that are helping broad audiences, the app provides lightweight ticketing system as well. So as requests come in, you can tag, okay, I got this, assign this to me, close this request. And all of that goodness happens within the Teams channel experience itself. So like imagine old way of doing ticketing is you have this legacy application, you have rows and rows of data. This is more in the moment. You see requests coming in, you see support professionals or SME expert teams just pick things up. There's also replies in the bot notification itself, where you can just collaborate around it. Often, it takes more than one person to help solve a particular query. So people can have conversation around queries, and then one person can go sort it out with the requester. But then all of that audit trail, all of that corpus knowledge stays for the entire team to benefit from. So it kind of brings instant feedback mechanism to organizations. So this one also Teams adoption. You could very easily have Teams frequently asked questions or Teams help as a bot that people can refer to. Any new product or new initiative rollout within the organization, this is a great way of giving people instant help. Third is lightweight help desk. Often organizations have elaborate and very sophisticated IT ticketing help desks, but other parts of the organization do require same kind of support, but don't get that often. HR, procurement, and those sort of are the other places. This is a very easy way to modernize all of those processes within the organization itself.
Great. There's a question for the link to the templates URL. Is there a publicly available URL, or is it only internal?
No, the link I showed, and I'll paste it in the chat, and I'll also share the deck that I'm presenting afterwards. But this link is publicly accessible, Teams app templates. this should work. Just put in www.aka.ms teamsapptemplates, and it should redirect to the landing page there.
Excellent. Thank you.
So this is all of the stuff that's out there and coming soon. There's also another cute celebration spot that's in the works. It's kind of like birthdays or anniversaries. It just automates collection of birthdays within the team for those who would want to share it. And then the bot does the heavy lifting of announcing work anniversaries and birthdays. It's again one of those things, as we were growing very large, we wanted these tools to drive
cohesion.
Cohesion, employee engagement.
Mm-hmm.
We have a ritual of I think every other day there are donuts on most of the floors. There's bubble tea. Those are sort of the things that Teams does for its employees, for someone's birthday or anything else. This was something that also one of the most asked things, that hey, let's try to bring people together more often,
mm-hmm.
Have more reasons to celebrate and have fun. So again, we're gonna open source this. This is also coming soon.
Great.
I would love to. So these are all of the resources. I'll share this deck so you'll have links to the app templates catalog in individual repos as well, although all of this is contained in the catalog itself. I frequently blog about these templates and then kind of sharing stories about how customers are using it or why we produce those things. So this contains those links as well. In addition, I would love to get more feedback and ideas from you as to which other app templates you'd like us to develop. I have this list of ideas. As you can see, Icebreaker, List Search, Company Communicator, and FAQ are the ones that are solidified. The next 4 or 5 ideas are the ones that we are actively starting working on next.
Mm-hmm.
But I can easily change my priorities based on if there's a strong source of signal or demand for a particular idea. Would love more thoughts from the group here.
Yeah, so let's open up to audio, but first let's give a quick overview of these. I think FAQ++, Ask HR are fairly straightforward because those are variations on what we talked about. Let's just quick introduction for book shuttles, book and exchange resource, facilities, etc.
Okay, great. Thanks, Val. So Book Shuttles is an app. A lot of organizations have large campuses where they have shuttles going from point A to point B. How to make it easier for employees to book a shuttle on the phone so that they don't have to raise a request in a system somewhere. They can just book it in their offices and then just arrive and go. Similar to, as easy as ordering an Uber. This is, again, would be a bot interface. You could just say book a shuttle, bring up the interface, select point A, point B. The back end is a SharePoint list. This is something that, again, solving our own problem. Microsoft has a lot of shuttles, and we have this app called MS Shuttle. Again, the overarching thought is we'll open source it so that anybody and everybody can use that. The next one is book and exchange resource. So what we've heard is booking a meeting room gets real hard. Often the layout in the actual calendar, Outlook calendar, is pretty cumbersome. And especially if you're on the go, try doing that on a mobile phone. Trying to find a room while you're on the go is really difficult. And we're kind of working across time zones, and it's really hard to bring up a desktop environment often.
Mm-hmm.
This app will easily allow you to book anything that can be stored as an entity in Microsoft Exchange. So assuming that
as a resource specifically, but
Exactly.
I imagine you could also book individuals.
Yes. So you could book individuals or you could book equipment. The way to do it would be, okay, set up these resources. If your campus has like 100 conference rooms. You put that data as an Exchange resource with its own location and calendar and things like that. And then booking a room then would be super easy as talking to a bot. Book a room near me. It would take a look at your location and give you a list of rooms that are available near you at this time that are free. Similar thing could be used for, equipment, people, those sort of things.
That's great.
The next one is facilities request. This is one of the most commonly asked requests from employees. Nobody knows there's actually a web page internally where you can request, like, my air conditioning is broken, or I need help here.
Or I spilled my coffee in my cubicle.
Yeah.
Can someone come and clean it properly?
Yeah. Currently, like, no one knows what that phone number is, and they're just asking around. What if there was a bot where you could just submit a request, be very easy form layout, fill in a bunch of steps, and then just via this application, you get apprised of, okay, someone's coming, notifications, and things like that. The other one is ordering supplies. We've heard it from some customers that the whole process of ordering supplies is just some archaic, old application, hard to access. There are lots of checks and balances. It's really cumbersome. What if you could just order supplies? You had your bookmarks or favorite things you often order. What if that could be available to you at your fingertips? The other one is Solution Finder. It's similar to ticketing, just lightweight via a bot interface, being able to submit a quick request about a thing, a support request or a new query, and then it would post it in a channel, and then where a team of support professionals can then respond. It's kind of like a Q&A, like what I mentioned about FAQ plus bot. Imagine if there was no question and answer, just raise a request and go about your business. The other one is workflow approval. Often organizations have very complex workflows around, okay, you come here, you give a bunch of details, and then you send this workflow to either a team or a group of people, then they approve it, then you get your stuff done. And it's like building these things from scratch often takes time. So this template would allow for doing it in a very concerted manner, something that's more modern, keeps people apprised of as the ticket moves through life cycle and things like that. So it's kind of helps bring both the requesters and then the support professionals kind of in the loop on workflow approvals.
Right. So I could see this used for purchase orders or for contract approval or for expense reports potentially.
Yeah, correct. The other ones are onboarding. Onboarding has multiple layers. Onboarding to a new product, let's say Teams. How do you get people excited about the new product, as well as if they're part of team, how can they get more engaged and like kind of like rallying behind the team's purpose? What if there was a bot that could help the team kind of in a gamified manner come together? Onboarding is also another layer is onboarding a new employee. What if you could kind of craft a red carpet experience for all of your new employees, not just like high-ranking officials, all the way from like interns to any new employee? What if you had the ability to just very quickly fill in these fields? Like, these are the people who you should meet with. These are the key teams you should join. These are the key documents you should read. What if curation and then dissemination to new employees of that information was really easy? That's kind of like a cosmos of ideas around onboarding. And then there is perspectives or 360-degree feedback. We've often seen internally at Microsoft too, we have a tool to solicit feedback from other people, but we often see spikes happening just before the review period, and then people forget about getting feedback. Teams offers this ability for proactive outreach too. So what if there was a bot that could nudge people and say, hey, it's been a month. I see you've collaborated with these you collaborate with these people often. Maybe you want to ask for feedback from them. It just kind of is like a proactive nudge that, often seeking feedback, the more diversity there is, the better. So it kind of, first of all, gives you a broader horizon or broader landscape of getting feedback from people. And then number two is the proactive part of reaching out.
And it uses the Office graph to help inform people's choice of who they seek feedback from.
Yes, that's a good point, Bill. The other thing that it also does is you get feedback. What do you do about that feedback? There could be lightweight journaling built into the application itself. So something like Friday morning, once a week, you get a proactive nudge. Hey, take a moment to reflect back on how the week went. Maybe document things that went well, things that didn't. What would you do differently? And you have like a safe space to collect your thoughts and action upon the feedback and kind of have like that continuous feedback loop and not leave it to like end of the year, so to speak. The ideas from then on are more high level ideas. We haven't done more thinking there. This one is called like Bagoo. We again built this for ourselves. Accessibility so accessibility is a big topic at Microsoft. Anything that we launch makes sure all product features are accessible.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like high contrast, low contrast, being able to just use the keyboard and not have to rely on mouse to use a product feature. Those
Right.
are things that we care deeply about. So what we built for ourselves was called Bagoo. Anytime there would be accessibility bugs, the bot would proactively notify people in the team saying, okay, here are all of the accessibility bugs in the team. And the internal rule is anytime there's accessibility bug, that PM or that dev is not allowed to work on new features unless those bugs are resolved. That's one example, but think of anything that you're tracking on Azure DevOps. If you have any query that is existing, anytime there is new entries in that query, the bot can send proactive notifications to the channel, keeping everyone in the loop and making sure like things don't fall through cracks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially a work item tracker. You could track bugs, or you can track new features. And then, people who aren't spending their days in and out within Azure DevOps, but still keep the larger organization apprised of things that are going on. So a very
sure status and progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So very DevOps focused app idea, something that we're hoping that developers and IT professionals would benefit from.
So we have about 10 minutes left. Let's give a chance for people to suggest their own ideas.
We would really love that. And I would also send feedback form across, so you don't have to think of all of the ideas right now. We'd love a good list of ideas that you can think of.
So we've got a couple customers on the line. Anyone that any of these ideas that you'd like us to pop higher in the list, or any new ideas that you'd like to suggest? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to reach out to the non-customers on the list, so the Microsoft employees who joined the call. And customers, feel free to chime in if you were just searching for your mute button. But the Microsoft employees, and any suggestions?
Bill, I've got one.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I often find myself wishing for something like a remind me bot.
Okay. Kind of what Cortana's doing in email now with the heads up.
Yeah, Cortana is doing it there. There's actually a minimum bar that's even lower than that, though. If you look at like the remind me bot on Reddit, you just say mention the bot, and then you have a duration or a date, and it will pop a message to you later for that particular item.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oftentimes, the thing I find is I triage my event feed and I read through things and I glance through them to understand where I am. But I often find myself thinking, shoot, this is important. I don't want to step away from it, but I'm not done with my list. I'd like to come back to this in an hour or in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to sit in that forum or thread or event feed action and just say remind me bot in 1 hour or tomorrow by 4 p.m. It would be super cool to have that and then just simply pop to the top of my activity feed again with a repopulated and unread message for that same event or that same reminder after that timer expires. And it would be super helpful if it could do it in multiple contexts so that you could have it be not just from an activity feed, but in a conversation or in a chat thread or in a post-meeting chat thread. Remind me in 1 hour to come back and see if the recording for this meeting has rendered.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I actually like the idea of the before, during, and after meeting scenario, but it looks like Nidhi was looking at a third-party application. Remember this.
So there's an application available today that kind of it does at least 60% of what you mentioned. And I've used this before. It's called Remember This. So you install it in a team, and then it's then available. You go, let's say you have a big post to read. You can then just, as a reply, say at Remember This, and then it'll ask for what time or just give you a few options. And then it just tags you again, saying, hey, remember to do X, whatever your message was.
But importantly, this is team-based. I really like David's idea because quite often I will use email to send a reminder to myself to do something. Or I'll put it in Outlook, or excuse me, the calendar. I'll just add a meeting in Outlook as a reminder.
I do.
But this is an interesting idea of having it as a bot that could be in a team or could be in a one-on-one chat, because on the team basis, everyone on the team would see my goofy reminders, like sometimes goofy reminders.
So true.
Yeah.
That more personal nature of it that's just relevant for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's actually two uses for that one, Bill. So the example here is the cases where you're developing content for a group presentation. So you would actually want to remind the channel or remind the people that are supposed to be contributing to the presentation that they have to, please make sure your slides are updated. Or by, close of business 5 p.m. Pacific time tonight, please make sure your slides are updated. So there would be a role for that in a group reminder in a channel.
Yeah.
That's equally as valid as having it be a personal function, sort of in a personal bot or a personal tab.
Right. So there's two separate things there. I like those two scenarios. And sort of remember the app that's out there kind of covers that last scenario, which is, a public reminder versus the private reminder or personal reminder. If we've exhausted that one, I think we've got a good capture on that. Laura brings up one that I think is really big. So we use who as a way of finding people when we know or we're in the same teams as those people. So who doesn't go outside of your permissions boundary? Laura, do you want to expand on your suggestion about finding the right person in an organization?
Yeah, so this is also a problem that my customer has had, and I've tried to figure out how we could solve it with Graph or something more general. But whether it's the address book or Azure or some form of, master list of who's on what role at what time, and are they, you can get really exotic and wonder if they're even there today because they might be on vacation. But in general, at least in our sales team, I'm in the CSU, the customer success unit. Especially at the beginning of the fiscal year when things change, we need to know who are the new people that we should be working with for each customer. And we wait until Calc is actually the table that's the reference for that. And it should be represented in our CRM and MSX, but it somehow doesn't really get cleaned up. So I was just thinking if there was a place in Teams where we could go to say, who is my ATS for this account, or who is my CSM for biz apps in this account, that would save us a ton of time, and it would help us. And then we'd be right there and we could just do a chat and reach out to that person.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that with list search. If that data exists in a SharePoint list, you can easily, like, that's something that we use for our internal purposes too. Like, we need to figure out who's the CSM for this particular account.
Right.
Often any like queries related to Azure, we're not experts on Azure, so we'd be looking for, okay, who's the cloud solution architect, CSA, for this account,
Mm-hmm.
and we bring it up with the list search app, in just querying for any. So you could have data that is account name, CSM, CSA, ATS. So you could query against all of those items.
Yeah. So what I think is interesting, though,
well,
Laura, if you don't mind my just saying,
sure,
is a way of having people self-identify that may be faster than the central process.
Yeah.
In fact, it might even be a process for informing
Okay.
whatever the central list is. Is that kind of where you're going, Laura?
Well, not really. I think I was actually thinking the back end is really important. I mean, maintaining. So when you go to a SharePoint list, then does that SharePoint list get tied to whatever is the actual updated organizational? The real fundamental underlying challenge is that we don't define all of that in one place, and then it gets fragmented and it gets replicated, and so that's why I can't see it in MSX probably. And I'm also referencing my customers. I say all these things because they had those challenges. But so there's a back end challenge on how to find the right answer. But I think if we did some form of a broadcast, it would be too noisy, and I wouldn't want to self-identify. It's just too. I don't know. Maybe I'm not imagining your solution the way you're intending it, but I don't know. That might be another way to at least bounce against the current reference and see if the reference is correct or not.
Right. Yeah.
I'll still note that down. I'll do some asking around. Maybe there's a better way to get at the same.
Well, there's often it occurs to me, thinking outside the box, this might be a Cortana opportunity as well, because there's some pretty well-defined language that people use for that. It's something along the lines of, hey, thanks for reaching out. I no longer cover this account. You want to talk to blah.
Right. So maybe, yeah. So that would be sort of an email gathering, or it could be from within Teams, but you could be gathering data proactively.
Yeah, I usually see that one actually in invites to meetings. Hey, I see this meeting is about a thing. I used to cover this customer. I don't anymore. Can you talk to someone else about this? So it's a combination. Uninvite me and invite this other person.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So if Cortana was smart enough to be saying, this looks like an org change or an account change or a role change of some kind, let's flag this and update the appropriate databases so that people could query them effectively, either through one of the list bot or something similar.
That makes sense.
Yeah, ultimately, Bill, to your idea, do you want us to send a notification to the calc maintainers?
Right. So we've got 2 minutes left. These are really great. Did you want to expand on that any further, Laura, before we sort of call for any other ideas?
No, I think that's great. Thanks for listening. It's all good.
Any other suggestions or questions for Nidhi? All right, hearing none, I want to thank Nidhi particularly for, this is great. I mean, I find this so helpful for our customers to benefit from the internal tools that we are building on top of Teams to solve processes that we have that I would imagine map to very similar processes at other organizations. The other is I really appreciate everyone joining. The conversation, dialogue, and chat has been excellent, and these suggestions of ideas have been really helpful as well. So thank you all very much. I will make the recording and the PowerPoint available. And in terms of additional feedback, feel free to reach out to Nidhi with other ideas that might come to you as you think about or hear from your customers what kind of applications they would like to build on Teams so that we can share that broadly and have just better time saving, better productivity in Teams.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi.